Once again, welcome everybody to this water talk, the Northeast Water Talk, as we call it. And today we have again two speakers, but our chair is going to be Girinda, as we call him, as we lovingly call him, Girinda, Girin Chetia, who is actually that he's been instrumental in making this water stories and water talk possible. His organization has been hosting us from a couple of years now, and so it is him and his organization which has allowed us to come together. In fact, allowed the whole studies to be done, stories to be done, and also creating this platform for all of us. In fact, buying this space itself, is so costly, but then his organization has facilitated that process. So thanks to Girinda, and he's going to chair this session. And I leave this space for Girinda to take over. Thank you, Girinda.
Thank you, Ram. Now, actually, time is going on, so I would like to introduce two of our speakers here. Today is the fifth meeting. So our speaker will be Sapon. Sapon is from Assam and he is from Borak Valley. He himself loved to be introduce himself as farmer. And last 3 years he is engaging also in farm activities only. And he is trying to promote farmers as entrepreneurs. And he is also promoting farmers cooperative society for production. So he is very enthusiastic to organize farmers there in their district. And second one is Susangla Sang. She is from Dimapur. She is having the degree of social work, and she is having experience in conflict resolution activities, and she is also a peacemaker. She is going to present one story of a river called Sathe River. This is the tributaries of Dhansi. So I request to start your story. Your story is long one, so please.
Thank you, Girinda, for giving the space first to me. And hi, everybody. As Girinda said, I'm a farmer now. Actually, the story which I have written for Notice Water Talk basically is a memories of my old childhood days about how our villages or how I relate myself with the river Barak. My village is called Singarban. Singarban is on the southern bank of Barak River. When I, from very childhood days, when I look at my relation with the river, I see there was very close relation between the Barak River and the people of Singarban. And I know that okay, change is inevitable. Like a change will be happening. But the question which come to my mind is that whether these changes whatever is happening in terms of our relation with the river Barak and whatever we do around Barak River, is it informed change or is it something like an induced change, or uninformed change? There's a question which came to my mind, and the second thing what I also raised to within me is that whether do we regret this change, whether whatever change is happening, whether we regret or we appreciate the changes what happened. That's something which question which came to my mind. And the story which I wrote, I tried to look at that how relationship between the nature and human has changed over the decades. This is a story which has a story of last 70, 80 years because as I said, this story is not only about my memory. I also talked to different elders. I talked about 10 elders, which is nearly, most of them are of 80s or 90s or a bit 70s. So they have seen the river. much before what I have seen the river, like in the sense that it's a story which is a collective memory of people who live almost 70, 80 years or 90 years. And it's not only their story, but also what they have heard from their parents. Therefore, and how the relationship between the river or the nature and human has changed over the decades. How how the changes in relations between the nature and human had changed the relation between even human. Like it's not about changing relation between the nature and human, but also how these changes has been impacting on the relation between human relation within the village or village and the upstream and downstream people. That also I try to look at. At the same time, how development in current form has monetized the gifts of nature without looking at the ecological and environmental impact, and how the current form of development induces human to distance from nature. The thing is that what I basically try to look at is that, okay, whether current form of development is distancing people from the nature, because we cannot live without nature. But the thing is that the current form of development basically induces people. My argument is that it induces people to distance from the nature, distance from nature. That's how I look at it. There's a few things which, when I wrote this paper or this story memoir, I was looking at from that point of view. As I said, when constructing this story, I collected the stories from different people, that their memories from their childhood. A person like 80 years old or 90 years old person saying that how you saw the river Barak then and how you see now and how you feel it about it. So the thing is that let me start with the thing. How I start. Let me start with my own story, then I'll connect with what they have told to me and how I narrated the story in written form. So I grow along with my friend on almost like you can say on the river bank. You can say like a river and river bank, because river is something which we usually go almost 2 to 3 times every day when we are child. Because in the morning you have to go to bath, and at that time at 12 o'clock or somewhere when your food is ready, you have to go and wash yourself. And third time is when you evening after playing within the river or outside the river, you have to go and take bath. Therefore, that's the connection. That itself is the connection between me and my friends at the river. So river is something very, very important to us. So it's not about only about taking bath, but also we used to play on the rowing board, and we used to learn swimming in the river. So we learned swimming and we also row board. At the same time, I still remember when we were kids, we used to fetch drifting woods for firewood. Like then when I was child, now I'm about 40. I'm talking about something around 40 years back. We used to, all our households were basically based on firewood. Like then there was no cooking gas. Therefore, all these things, the dripping woods we used to collect for firewood. Therefore, that was something which I remember. And that's how we connect with the river. And it's not only the river there, but also connection with the upstream, in the sense that there are trees were fallen there. They're getting like, they also, like, it's the upstream and the people in the down, like, because somebody has left something there, therefore we are getting in the downstream. Therefore, that I saw, and there was lots of fun around the river also, because we used to have the country boat races, like annual function was there, that I still remember. So now the thing is, these are the things which I have memory. And when I went about 30 years back, like I almost 30 years back, I went out for study and to do job. And in between, I am coming back in the village. Every year, I used to come back at least once a year, and I see the changes happening in the village. And now for last 3 years, I'm in the village. I can see how the people of the village has distanced from the river. That's how I want to just share from what I've seen. So what I've seen is that, okay, we said that our village is developed in the sense that, okay, our Singapore, my village is about, I'll say that about 100% of people are educated, in the sense that literate. I'll not say educated, but literate. And many of them have went out and see what is development, quote unquote, in the current context. Therefore, when they think development, they will say, okay, we need electricity, we need water taps, we need bathroom and toilets, which we used to do in the river bank earlier. Like, no, we used to go to bath in the river. We used to go for open diffusion up there. Therefore, the connection was there. But the thing is now, since we are developed now, so-called quote unquote, now we don't go to river for water, for potable water. We also don't go for washing there. We don't take animals to the river for feeding the water. Therefore, slowly, when the development, so-called development comes, it started disconnecting people. Therefore, the relation of the villagers with the river itself is getting reduced. And therefore, somewhere I feel that, okay, the importance of river, okay, somewhere it is there because importance is there because our tap water is coming drawn from River Barak. But the thing is, the kind of importance we used to give to River Barak, I think is no more there. So that's how I felt it. Next thing is that what's happening because of that, since our connection with the river has reduced, now the children which I show then and now, then we used to go to river and learn swimming, do country sport. Now the children doesn't go. I don't see much children going to the river for swimming or for bathing, and so therefore the natural tendency is that the fear has developed inside. They don't learn swimming. They don't do all kind of things like rowing boat, or also they don't catch fish. They don't catch snails, or they don't catch mussels. Like, no. Therefore, what happening is that I slowly see that, okay, there has been a fear which are developing inside. Therefore, the kind of the kind of skills, I'll say life skill. Swimming is a life skill. Life skill which generally develops when you are with water is slowly taken away from, and the kind of happiness which children might have drawn from that kind of play in the river or on the bank is slowly gone away. At the same time, as I said, since we have bathroom, we have pipe water, therefore people don't go to the river. Therefore, there's a disconnection with the people. Now, then I would like to go. Since these changes, the question which I raised was, I was thinking whether is it happening only with me, or is it happening with elders also? So therefore, I thought, okay, let me talk to them and let me understand their perspective. Because somewhere I want to know that whether these changes what's happening, do they feel is good, or do they regret? So that's the point. And the thing is that if they regret, then there's a possibility of making more engagement with them, then how we can see how we further develop the river, and then the only feeling of how to save the nature will come. That's how I was trying to construct the story, at the same time, okay, engage with them. So when I the thing what I have realized is that with after talking to them, or after I'm trying to narrate what they have told me, and just try to narrate some of things they have said. So they say that in last 60, 70 years, the relation between the Barak River and the people of Singapore has changed a lot. One thing is that the river itself has changed a lot. They say that the depth of the river has reduced and width of the river has increased. And the reason they said is that lots of silt has come down, and is not that good silt which used to come earlier. Is poor silt, in the sense that it's sandy silt. And therefore, what's happening is that, okay, there are more inundation happening, number one. But earlier, when they were younger, the kind of inundation that happened, they were welcoming it, because it used to bring lots of good soil, which was beneficial for the crop which they grow in the riverbank, but is no more there. Therefore, that itself is a problem. What they say is that, therefore, the kind of crop which we grow maybe is not very, the fertility has reduced, what they want to mean. And because that's one. And second thing, what they have said is that on the riverbank, there are a huge amount of forests, like, no, in the different kind of local crops, local fruits were available, and it was so abundant that okay, they didn't used to bother about who's and what. Like no, they used to have enough food for themselves, enough fruit for themselves, enough timber for themselves, enough bamboo for themselves to construct their houses and houses and their neighbors, because then it was so abundant that people didn't thought about the perfect ownership, like the kind of ownership feeling which they have now is no more there. Now the thing is that over the last 56 years, those areas where they used to feel afraid going in the evening, let's say if it is a bit dark, they used to feel bad about going there because it was so thickly forested, but now it's no more there. And the fruits which were abundantly available is no more there. Then they say that, okay, the elders also, they used to go to Ujan. We call it Ujan. Ujan is upstream. The relation was always there. Lakipur is about 105 kilometers from Tipaimu. So people from the village used to go for fishing, not only for fishing, but also used to take timbers from upstream, or used to take the bamboo and timbers from there, basically for their own consumption, in the sense that they are constructing their houses. And there was a good relation between the people here and the upstream people. The tribal in the upstream, they used to said, okay, it's fine if you take that much. But over the period of time, in the sense that after construction of the pepper mill in Kacha pepper mill, which produces something like 10,000 metric ton of pepper, it has destroyed whole forests of the area. Therefore, they say that now things have been monetized, like forest and timber. Therefore, they are not allowed to go there and get that kind of thing even for their consumption. Therefore, monetizing the thing after the development, so-called development of construction of a pepper mill, producing pepper mill, has changed the relation between not only between nature and human because of monetizing, but also the relation between the hill tribes, hill where people live in, and hill where from this timber and other forest products people used to collect. You cannot do anymore because the relation has changed. That's what they say. At the same time, I talk with few fishermen when they said about it. Okay, there's one person who is about 65 years old. He said that I survived throughout my life, almost from childhood till few years back. I was totally depending on fishing. And the kind of fish you caught was something like 80 kg, or tortoise what he saw was about 40 kg, or there were lots of dolphin here then, and even we used to see crocodile, but Barak River no more does not have those nowadays, because you don't see turtle anymore. You don't see a river dolphin. Like no, we don't see much. When I was child, I used to see all those coming when there was when the water was fake, but we don't see all those. Therefore, when I ask them about the kind of change, why is changes happening, why it's happening, some people have said that okay, so much development activity. They say development activity in the sense that okay, construction of dam which is being proposed, or highway construction, roadway construction, because this river, the Barak River, is on the highway and the railway construction happening is almost on the bank or at the periphery of this Barak River. Therefore, what they say is that all these are impacting the river Barak. Isn't that there's an organization called Society for Activists for Forest and Environment, which is based in Silchar. They did a study about what's happening in the aqua diversity in Barak River. They have also say that the kind of activity in the upstream is really impacting on the ground. It damages forests, led to soil erosion, siltation. At the same time, some senior people are also saying that okay, advanced areas is also impacting in the downstream in the area, because so much advanced areas coming down. And one of the elders say that okay, there was a point of time when they were a child, or even when I was a child about 30 years back, we used to drink the river water by self. It was sweet, like no, but when even me, when I go down to the river and when I drink, I think I have to think second time, because I don't feel that okay, it's no more that clean kind of thing. Therefore, water quality is something which is also a question. Now, coming back to the thing, when after talking to all these elders, one day we sat down together and said that, what is your concluding remark? And we come up with few concluding remarks. they say that we try to construct like this. We didn't realize how much we got data from the river, not the nature and its resources, in our mindless pursuit of modern development and material comfort. Number one. Number two, we have only exploited the river and resources and never thought about conservation and sustainable use. Number C, we have taken the river and nature for granted. We thought that nature will continue to bestow us the way it had been for centuries. We come to realize that nature, too, if not nurtured, conserved, and protected, has its own limitation and ceases to provide us. Next, we may become developed, educated, and rich financially, but we are now much poorer in terms of biodiversity and planetary health. And finally, we thought money and market would provide everything we need, but for our survival. But in this time of Corona pandemic, we realized that money and market could do little to ensure safety of human race. These are the few endpoints which we have written down, but here I am. But at the same time, now the whole thing of dredging Barak River is coming up. The government is planning to dredge 121 kilometers between Bhanga and Karimganj to Lakhipur, so that it become like again, what's it called? Waterways can be started, but only concerned is whether it will, whether this will be adding more problem to the kind of ecological damage we have done with river. That's something which we need to look at, and that's what I end there. And there are some queries and something which you want to suggest me. That's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sapon. Thank you. I have decided that both the speaker will speak first, then only we will open for the floor. So next speaker, Tusangla Si Sam. She will talk about Satay River. So he's from the
So first of all, good evening, and then I would like to thank Pai and then everybody for giving me a chance to speak on this was a very short meeting. First, I'll tell a very short story about the river. Chate River, it originates from Mitsifima. So Mitsifima, it's like on the way to Kohima. Kohima is the capital of Nagaland. And then it flows to Jumikitima to Fort Mile, which is Dimapur. And then this river, it joins Kuti, Tulong, Mitsifima, Chaluki, Peren. It's also one of a district in Nagaland. And then Charna Pani mountain range, which is like it's joining Thansri Bar and coming to Assam. Yeah. So the river, it merged Thansri River. Thansri River, I think most of us, we know about the river. It's the biggest river in Nagaland. And then it's the only river which flows into Brahmaputra. So Chati River, it also from a boundary between Nagaland and Bokarajan, Assam, which is like the district of Assam. Yeah. So Chate River have like supported lots of human activity along its course over a period of years, like lots and lots of activities. Like the people who are living in Chate River, it has affected many lives, and then some they have gained from the river, and some their lives have been affected. So through the selected artifacts and oral narration, I'd like to tell you about I'd like to present a very vivid picture of Chate River. And then this Chate River, it was also a transportation route for many villages. There are like 3 to 200 rivers, which are already, they are villages which are there after crossing the river. Yeah, I also stay, my house is also after crossing the river only. So, and then it is a very, popular destination for smugglers, yeah, and then for fishermen and for artists and for photographers and for natural enthusiastic people. So, yeah. So firstly, this river, it was a, it was a very important place for fishing. once, like, let's get this most important thing done first. Like, when we talk about river and seas, we know that it's an anonym with fishing. And then if the and then fishing was very crucial for people inhabiting in Chetia River earlier. So many people earlier live on Chetia River, like used to go for fishing every day. And then I also, when I went to visit the village, the river, I saw a lot of fishing nets and traps, which were, lying along the river bank. And then during early days, like as narrated by locals sighting near the river, they say that this river was the epicenter for fishing in Dimapur. Like people from far off places, they also come for fishing. And then the river have, provided so much of livelihood for, it was a primary source of livelihood for people sighting near the river. And then like as I went and visited some elders, they were telling me like, earlier it seems they used to get kilos and kilograms of fishes, and then they also these days they hardly get little bit for little bit even for consumption. So, and we can see that the river is located near the hospital. Also, the hospital is known as CIHSR, Christian Institute of Health Science and Research Center. So the hospital is a very hospital cum research center. Is very well known for its great facilities. That of visas which were they were all what is that, dumping it in the river. Yeah, dumping it in the river. So the toxins were these dumps from hospitals. It was creating toxic environment for the fishes to live. Yeah, and it's also, I feel it's very threatening for humans also, like people living near the Chetia River, because I found that most of the dumps were of like drugs and medicines. Yeah, so we see that drugs, medicines, they are described by doctors, and then these people, when they throw it in the river, it creates a toxic life for people. And then even this what's that, the toilet connections are all dumped in the river only. So with the increase in huge temperature, it's becoming very, for us also, it's not safe for people, and for us it's not safe to have fish from this toxic river. And then for people, my colony, it's near the Chetia River. So for the neighboring colony, this Chetia River is, commonly known as camping ground. Yeah, camping ground, because we used to dump so much of our waste. So especially nearby colony, like there's one colony known as Tipupar, and then Naga United. Yeah. So I feel this negligence of village leaders and authorities, it and fishes. And then as I was having a friendly interaction with the Naga United village chairman, he expressed that his expression on the river was like, our villages, we lack waste management committees, so we haven't thought about what to do with the dumps that they throw in the simple issues on. The people residing near the rivers, they have not raised even the simple issues they deal with. So the chairman, he was little, when I talk about the river, he was little like reluctant, and he was little, I don't know, maybe he was just showing his concern, or like he was like, yeah, we'll talk about this in the next meeting and gathering. It was like that. So I feel all because of, I'm sharing more of the what do we say? I'm sharing more of the bad side, like the negative side of the river. Yeah. So it's like that. And then there are many, burning fossil fuels, and then like these days, people, when they earlier, as narrated by our first speaker, earlier people, they go to the river to take bath and then to have organic fishes, like organic. You go to the river to have good fish instead of buying from the market. Yeah. But then these days, people, they go to the river and then they use what do we call it? Bleaching powder, yeah, limestone, and that battery. Most of the knowing battery and all for fishing. So these things are affecting the river so much. Like earlier, it's of organic, but then these days, these people, they are using bleaching powder, limestone, and then what not so much of chemicals to fish. I mean, for fishing. So these things are creating, they are disturbing the ecosystem of the fishes. Yeah. So that these are some of the few points where I found that the place earlier, Chetia River, was the epicenter for fishing, but because of all this problem, it has started to, lose its lose its importance on fishing. Yeah. So secondly, Chetia River, it's also known as hub for thieves, murderers, and goons. So in people, I mean, some of you must be from Nagaland and then nearby village, like from Assam or Manipur. Some you guys heard many stories about the Chetia River. This Chetia River is it have a very, the beauty and size are very captivating. But then there are lots of, stories being recorded near the river. So many years back, people have found lots of torso of the human bodies, like they were being cut, killed. I don't know why. Like I think many thieves and murderers, they find this place very interesting. So it's like that. They have found many like what is that? People are murdered or some dead bodies are found. I've also I have also visited once. I think, yeah, one very huge person was killed near the riverbank. So and then that person was killed and he was thrown just near the river only. So I was just imagining, I'm very short and then very tiny. So how can somebody so big is also being killed? So how about like me and person like me, when we are found and will be easily killed? I was just having things like that. This place, like there were lots of illegal activities being happening in that river. Yeah. And then secondly, very important thing, sand mining. So a river is a source of life and it provides a few of vital resources which we need. We as a human being, we need it to be alive. But then all of us as a human being, we have a tendency to become a millionaire overnight, by applying every possible ways that are available to us. So because of this tendency to become a millionaire overnight, this Chetia River, it had become a victim for sand mafias, I should say, yeah, sand mafias, because many unregistered, unregulated groups, they have been extracting sands and boulders from the river banks. And then as we can go around the river bank, we see that there are lots of drugs transporting sands and boulders from Chetia River. Because of all these things, like the ecosystem of the riverside have been affected and there are lots of landslide and soil erosion occurring these very few years. And then this engineering and construction community constructing the four-line highway, they have also, the people have been complaining to them about the erosion, also soil erosion, yeah. And then many village council, because of they are little bit aware, and then people, they have slowly started taking actions. They started complaining to the engineering unit and this highway. They have also started, publishing in the newspaper also. And then, yeah, so all these things, sand mining, fishing, using different chemicals have been affecting the lives of the river, affecting the life of the river. So after having conversation with the younger people, with the older people, I feel that water is very important source for living, and people today express their emotions through various form of art. And then I feel as all of us are storytellers. We should continue to, write about the struggles, how it was before and after, so that we can have a, different kind of tale and different kind of, stories, and so that we can continue to share, and then we can have the differences, like what we are lacking, and then how we can put this story into for people to read and then to understand, so that after having interaction with different people, I also feel that people are taking importance of this subject. So as a storyteller, we will all continue to motivate each other and then encourage each other. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Dasan. Now, floor is open for all the participants. If any queries, any questions there, then please ask. Anybody?
Yeah. I have a question for Swapan. Two stories that we have heard: rivers who are alive, rivers now have been killed. It has gone. And like, I think all the stories that we have been hearing is all about dead lakes, dead wetlands, dead rivers. All that sufferings, and hearing all these stories every Saturday, it's kind of very, very sad, because all the water systems in the Northeast seem to be in very, very bad situation, very, very, very bad condition. Tathe River was another very sad story. But yeah, but that's a quick observation. But one thing that I wanted to ask Swapan was, in a similar situation, I've been also thinking of what is the reason? How is it that we have distance? Was there a relationship between humans and river in that very close, with cultural significance, economic significance, and so forth, fishing and all that? But how is it that it has become so distant from human, like river has become so far away from our lives, as if if there's no relationship with our river, so we throw everything there. How is it? Like, I know you have given us some reason, but I was not fully convinced, like how this has happened, our relationship with water and our river.
Yes.
That is one. The other concern that I have is, because we have the union minister from the Northeast on waterways. Now all the waterways are going to, the Barak waterways, the Brahmaputra waterways, now Loktak waterways, all the rivers are going to be what do you call that, the dredging. And in Sagarmala project and all that, I think now in other parts of India also, but in Barak also, as you mentioned, the chief minister is there, I think today, from what I heard from Swapan. So it's a big concern, because dredging has many problems. They're talking about bringing motorboats and passenger boats in all our rivers, and this will further sever our ties with the river itself. It will destroy the river itself. So I don't know what's your observation on that, but this is something of a concern I heard from you. So that is something that I'm sure you are looking at it, but I don't know what is there any concerns raised in Barak Valley in Assam? That's the question.
Okay. Let me take this question first. Why distance? People's relation with Barak. As I was also trying to understand that, and that's what the narratives is also around there. But maybe I'm not a good narrator. I'm not a good storyteller. Therefore, maybe I cannot capture the essence, the way essence of the thing what I want to tell. But what basically I think is that the notion of development itself is something somewhere notion of development, how people see development, and I think that itself is a problem, in the sense that, for example, in the village, if somebody has a bathroom, he is developed. If somebody has tapped water connected in the bathroom, there's more developed. If you are still defecating in open space, it is underdeveloped. If you have toilet at home, that also attached, you're further developed. The thing is that in that sense, when I was looking at this, I think that, okay, somewhere the notion of development detaches people from the nature itself. Because, for example, if I say in the paper, I also say that if Sundarban has to develop further, maybe somewhere if we have a swimming pool, then we'll see that our village is further developed. But people swimming in the river, they'll not take from that point of view. Okay, this boy is swimming, like just swimming. So I think somewhere the way people think that development itself is the problem, and that's how it was an imposed way of thinking. I think somewhere there, I feel how the people are disconnected. For example, let's say that earlier, as I said, every day we used to go at least 2 to 3 times to the river for bathing or for washing or for something. 2 to 3 times the minimum. Therefore, we used to clean the way from home to the river. Nowadays, nobody goes. Therefore, that particular road, still now people keep that space, because if somebody dies in the house, that is a space where we go for antim, what they call it, antim sanskar or something like that. Only for that purpose they go. Second is they go only to throw the waste to the river. There's a second point when they go. Okay, earlier it was for everything, but now it is only for something to throw. Therefore, the thing is that if people orientation can be changed, the way, as I said, okay, nature is very important, water is very important, river is very important to us. How to change that notion? People think that, okay, anyway, I'm going to get water in my bathroom, or going to get water from pipe water to my bathroom or toilet, or to the pipe water for my drinking from anywhere. Then why the river? Because in my village, I'm struggling to impose this, not impose, not in the village, what's every program, like, or marriage program or any other program, social function. Now, if you can provide bottled water, you are further developed. If you are providing water in the water of the river, which come through our water pipe, you are less developed, or you are not modern, or for that matter. So I have been struggling since last 3 years to do that. Whenever I organize some social function in my family, I still give it the water which comes from my pipe. But people ask me, are for this much of money, or 2,000 rupees or 1,000 rupees for this many bottles, why you are so major? But my argument to them is, it's not about major or not major. We have to understand that this is a resource. Why should I waste this money to something with a bottled water? So the notion of development is problematic. That's what I feel. Second thing, what we have asked, dredging, there has not been much debate. What I basically feel that Barak Valley is a place where debate are very less. Development debate, I don't think is much happening. There was only one of our friends, Pijus. Pijus was one of person who was part of SAFE. He was very active then. But after his death about 2 years back, there are some people who they call it Barak Environment Group. They basically talk in the WhatsApp, but nothing concrete has come up. And about this dredging, as you say, there will be huge impact. It seems that about 1.5 years back, or 2 years back, before the corona start, dredging started in some location, that is in Karimganj. Badarpur, they brought in some machines and all, they started. But in the course of this water talk discussion, in one area, when I went in Silchar to talk to some people around water issue in Silchar town, they are also showing concern about it. And I asked that, okay, where the silt will go when you take out this much of silt? Forget about other impact, but where the silt will go? All the riverside is full of silt, and where it will go? And they also say that, okay, since Brahmaputra Valley is doing like something like 8-lane highway in both sides, if we do this kind of thing, that's how we see. So what I'm saying is that the kind of people, there are very less number of people in Barak Valley who think seriously about it, who debate about it. Therefore, I think we need to engage more and more in Barak Valley on the issue of dredging, on the issue of dam, or anything related to water. Maybe I have not been able to look at right kind of people, but so far I have not been able to look at much.
Yeah, any other?
Yeah, Girin, good evening.
Good evening.
And my greetings to all the speaker Sopan and Tosang, and also other colleagues who are present here in the meeting. I think Ram has raised a very valid question, which we must reflect. Why the rivers are dying, why the wetlands are dying, why the lakes are dying? The simple answer is that there is no politics. There is no politics around river to revive the river. There is no politics about reviving the, restoring the health of the lakes and wetland. But there is a politics to destroy them for economic interests of some sections of society who are powerful in our society. In our society, that's it. So therefore, unless we think about a ecosystem approach to development where we'll have to leave behind the whole concept, the Western concept of boundary, the hard boundary, to something that is soft and focus our political thinking within the ecosystems aspect. Like, for example, we're talking about Barak River Basin. So can there be a politics? So even if it is a sovereign politics, can there be politics in the entire boundary which can be demarcated around the Barak River as a center, as a central focus of that politics? How do we restore the health of Barak River and its basins? All right, can there be a political organization coming up? Then perhaps only we'll be able to restore the health of biodiversity and the natural ecosystems. And so that is exactly perhaps Ram is hinting at for us to think. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my opinion on that. Thank you, Gurinda.
Good evening to everyone. Girin Chetia sir, Ram sir, and Sapan sir. So I have a question regarding something to Mr. Sapan. I wanted to know something regarding the Barak Valley situation, as my river, as my hometown is near Brahmaputra itself. So I want to ask you, you just said that people are not coming in the ratio they used to come before for doing the day-to-day activities like bathing and swimming, or doing some kinds of household activities to the river. So as the population is increasing and the thing are going too fast, so don't you think that increasing the number of people who are doing their day-to-day household activities like washing, bathing and something like that in the river, it will also deteriorate the condition of the water quality of that particular river, which will gradually turn into something worse in near future? So in that case, it's my opinion that we will also be having need to have some kind of like a water facility which are provided to the household, so that there is no harm from humans to the river, so that it sustains. Because fish and tortoise, you just have said, and river dolphins are also very much sensitive, and people a few decades back didn't use chemicals like soaps and surf excel or some things like that, which are harmful chemical. So as people will increase and their day-to-day activities in the river, it will also harm the flora and fauna of the river. Don't you think like that? I just wanted to know the both the side of the thing. Just wanted to talk with you regarding this.
At the same time, I also wanted to ask a question to Sopan, and I think that he will answer. He will let us know with the questions which has been asked by Pallab. And my question is that my question means I want to know actually. You told that the conditions of the river is deteriorating too fast because of some of the anthropogenic causes. That is mostly in the upstream areas. That means for developmental activities in the upstreams. And actually, I want to know, because I am lecturer about the Barak Valley, and how these situations, the silt, the discharge of silt, and the deteriorating conditions of the river is affecting the other water bodies in the village. That means wetland and other water bodies. That is also some of the tributaries of the Barak. That was my question.
Okay. First thing, actually, I thank you, Tamodevan, I think you have narrated quite beautifully about the politics of politics is all about like how to destroy rather than how to construct it, how to conserve it, because the interest of is about monetization of these resources. I understand that, and thank you for reminding me and all of us about that particular politics which is there. But how the change will happen? I pick up from the people's point of view is that how change will happen. And that particular narration, what is current narration is basically imposed narration, as I was saying. Whether the current change is it informed change or is it a imposed change? Somewhere I feel that it's imposed change. Huh? So if it is imposed change, people have accepted unknowingly. Whatever is happening around Barak or what is happening in the upstream is basically imposed. Therefore, people have accepted the imposed one as the thing which they are supposed to accept, and that's what's happening now. Now, counter narrative. This particular story is something about how to start a counter narrative, whether people realize this change is happening, whether these changes are unknowingly happening or knowingly happening. So most of them are unknowingly happening. And once people start knowing that, okay, no, these are things happening, and we have to get information around it, and we have to raise things around it. And the thing which you were talking about, like politics about Barak bashing, something like that, we have to change the narrative. And till we make aware people about narratives, counter narrative, and the leadership of whatever we are developing start with this counter narrative, I think things is going to change. That's how I perceived it. Okay, but when I wrote this story, it is about the current context, what's happening, how people perceive development as on today. But we are in the same boat in the sense that, okay, I told about what's happening on the ground, and you told about how we can change. If you want to bring change for better, then the politics about river Barak basin has to be developed, and people have to have their narratives in that form. I don't know. I could that way. I just wanted to connect what you have beautifully narrated and what I was telling about. Now coming back to coming to Pallav Hazarika's Pallav question to moi eta kotha janu that when I was narrating these stories, I didn't look from that point of view. I was looking at that, okay, Manuhar, when you said development, how people see it, like,
Yes.
How people see it, that's where, when you said development, this is the way people develop. Therefore, because of development, you are slowly, without knowingly, you are distancing from nature. That's what I was saying. Okay, I also say that, okay, defecation in the paddy field, or women going down to the river for fetching water or washing, it will take lots of time. Yeah. But can there be a way where we still have the connect with river? If you don't connect with the river, if you don't have feeling for the river, so it doesn't matter to you whether you kill the river or you survive it. So, okay, for example, when people go to the river for throwing dustbin, he does not think that river is a resource which give life to us. They just dump it there. When they go for going for antim sanskar or last rite of the human, they just think that this is a dumping ground. So the thing is that the relation between that river and people has become a dumping ground. River become a dumping ground. Therefore, you don't feel it like, but when you are having that kind of relation with river where you are doing all kind of things in your life, connecting the river with some sort of it's a life giver, it is source of life, then only you'll be getting more connected. And that's how you'll start thinking about how we can save the river, how to keep this river more clean, how our ecosystem can be further developed, how we can tell the government or tell any other people that, okay, there should be less forest deforestation happening because it's damaging our river, and there should be less, river should be used less dumping ground. As you narrated, as you said, okay, it should not be it should not be, if we do all these things, it will be further damaging the river water quality. Yes. And all. I understand that also, but I was trying to say that, okay, the relation between river and human has distanced so much that you don't feel the importance of this river and the water. You just think that it's a dumping ground. That's where I am. And coming to coming to our friend one G Manoj. Okay, yeah, like as you say that we always look at upstream. Okay, now even in our village also lots of, as I said, in my village about 50 years back there was lots of tree and we have all deforested all those areas. We also damage to our own places, our own area. Therefore, erosion happened in our place also. Okay, it's not about only blaming the upstream, but also we damage our own area. We have deforested our own area. We have cut down all resources. At the same time, now when we started discussing about why it is happening, why so much of changes happening in the river and it's very, we said that okay, in upstream so much things are happening, deforestation happening, or construction happening, structural building is happening. Therefore, they are still coming in. Therefore, riverbed is increasing. Therefore, the problems coming up. For example, Silchar town, the Barak riverbed is higher than Silchar town. Therefore, what's happening is that when the river gets inundated, the river rises. Therefore, there are more inundation happening in Silchar because water is backflowing. Like the water is coming inside Silchar rather than going out of Silchar because riverbed has increased. Therefore, water is coming inside the town rather than going out of Silchar. So those kind of problems are increasing. And I don't know whether I could answer your question. The discharge of silt and how's it called, siltation and erosion and then siltation of riverbed is causing more problems in the downstream, as you said. That's happening here.
Hi, good evening. Yeah, okay, I just want to share something. This is slightly out of the context of today's webinar, but it's also pertinent to Mr. Sapan. Today is the 10th year of devastating earthquake in Sikkim. It happened in 18 September 2011. And Mr. Sapan,
I remember.
First responder to provide relief in this place. So Mr. Sapan and Bana and we reached most of the affected area, and later on we were able to provide a lot of relief to the people. So once again, from people of Chungthang, I'm here just now in Chungthang. We'd like to thank Mr. Sapan for what he had done those days. So, and of course, congratulations on a very good presentation, and also to Ms. Tosang Sichang, and of course to everybody. We'll see you next time. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Stan.
My name is Pranav, and I am a practicing environmentalist based out of Delhi, originally from Assam. I just wanted to compliment the entire team for this kind of work that I was somehow not aware about this initiative. And I had a good chat with Sapan yesterday, and I came to know about this. So I'm here. And the kind of the problem he has experienced and the challenges he's facing on a day-to-day basis, it's something. It's true for every water body in the entire country today. And the gap he's mentioning, it's evident not only in case of water bodies, I call it blue spaces, but also it's true for the green spaces. And this distance is causing more trouble. So we'll have to bring these people back. We'll have to create a kind of, synergy. Of course, olden days, things are different now as we are progressing. The gap is increasing. So we'll have to bridge that gap somehow. Thank you once again, and congratulations to the entire team and Sopon and the other speaker. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a last, not question, just I want to ask something to Mr. Ram regarding something. He, while talking to Mr. Sapan, Sir Sapan, he just mentioned about that too much of modern boats and boats for transportation in rivers will definitely harm the ecosystem or something like that. But the thing is that we will have to debate and talk about this regarding this issue, because recently in Assam, due to use of traditional boats for carrying passengers from Jorhat to Majuli, many of them has lost their lives. So people have been demanding also modern boats. So the government has launched something like that. So we will also have to talk about this, because it both has consequences, positive and negative. So definitely this session will be not enough regarding finding a final conclusion. So we will discuss about it with Mr. Ram if it's possible later sometime.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's a big debate. So I think I'm not against the motorboats per se, but I think it needs a separate discussion.
Yeah, definitely, definitely, yes.
And we can say vote of thanks and
Okay, so thank you everybody for coming on this fifth Northeast Water Talk series. Next Saturday, same time, 4 to 5 p.m. again. Please join us again, and also please feel free to invite more people from your friends, your network, and definitely come back again to hear again 2 more stories from two spaces in the Northeast. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
thank you everybody.